Okay, good morning. Appreciate that, Tim. We've had a Thursday on a Tuesday, and now a Wednesday on a Tuesday. So we're getting closer to having Tuesday be Tuesday, and so looking forward to that as we get through the season and where we can actually come in here and have an actual Tuesday. Crazy schedule this year with a couple of short weeks. Playing on a Thursday and playing on a Friday, but we're excited about going to Boston, and it's another big challenge for us. They always play tough, and every time we go up there, it is always a battle. In fact, we've had 2 or 3 times up there. We've been fortunate to come away with a win, especially a couple of years ago. So. We know what we've got in store for us and have great respect for Boston College. They're a 3-2 football team, but they're I think it was 4th and 20 or 20-something away from being 4-1. I think Georgia Tech on the game-winning drive, I think it was 4th and 20. They converted a pass. And that allowed them to go on and have the game-winning drive there over in Ireland in the first game. So they're a good football team that has improved over the first few games here. Offensively, present a lot of challenges with their how they use their personnel. It's going to be a game of adjustments with. They have multiple tight ends and fullbacks. I mean, they're a big physical, force the issue, run the football, play action type of a team. And so big challenge for us this week is, first of all, matching their physicality and the mentality that you've got to have to play against an offense like this. And then secondly, because of all the personnel groupings and the formations and the shifts and the motions that they use, you have to make a lot of adjustments and really be disciplined. We didn't do a very good job of that up there a couple of years ago. You may remember we had a couple of guys turned loose running wide open, where we were just lucky that they dropped the ball. So we got to do a better job of playing with great discipline on the back end, especially with their play action game. And again, big and physical. This quarterback is very impressive. He's a grad transfer from Kentucky, threw for over 5,000 yards at Kentucky. They play 2 or 3 running backs, and they're all just strong, physical. You better if you try to arm tackle them, it's not happening. You better center them up, and you better have help on the way because they're just big, strong guys that run the football with authority. Big tight ends. They got 4 starters back in the offensive line, so very experienced up front with what they do with their power schemes and their lead zones and their counters. They'll run the quarterback counters, and do a good job. The quarterback is a very accurate passer. He's a 6'5", 250-plus pound guy, prototypical guy. He's an NFL player. There's no question about it. And he's athletic enough to get him out of trouble. And again, they run him. They'll spread you out and all of a sudden come back and run the quarterback counters with him. But very impressed with what they're doing. And then outside of the 2 leading receivers, number 6 and number 3, good players. Number 83 is a 230-pound wideout, big kid, 6'4", 6'5" guy. So we've got, great challenge up in Boston. And then you flip over and you look at their defense, and it's the same old Boston College. It just seems like I don't know where these guys come from, but it's the same old Boston College. They're number 1 in the nation in total defense again this year. They finished the year last year number 1 in total defense. Alabama was 3rd. Just to kind of put that in perspective for you, I mean, it's a really stout defense. Big, strong, physical defensive linemen that gobble people up. They've got some fast twitch guys on the edge. Number 7, I think he's got 7 sacks coming off the edge. 2 of the best linebackers that we've seen on tape, 28 and 13. They're active. It's, Boston College always has great linebackers, and it just seems as long as I've been at Clemson and we've been playing these guys, you just turn on the film every year and they've got outstanding play at linebacker. And then they've got 4 veterans back in the secondary. Do have a new defensive coordinator. But, this is a confident bunch over there on the defensive side. Again, another big challenge for us as we continue to try to, improve our team each and every week. Another tough defense, just like we saw last week. I think they're 7th in the nation in in rush defense. They're number 1 in the nation in pass defense. So good football team all the way around, and again, looking forward to going up to Boston. Also, I don't know who put this on here, but I didn't really know what the red bandana game was, Tom Rinaldi, who wrote this book, actually gave me a copy and told me about it the other day, but I didn't really know what it was all about. So I did a little research and watched some video, and man, it just unbelievable. One of the most inspirational stories I've ever seen or heard about. And the particular video I watched was just powerful. I guess ESPN did it. It was just powerful. And, as a father of 3 sons and knowing the love that you have for your children, and how fast it goes, how fast they grow up, and the memories that you have in your mind of your kids, watching his mom and dad on that video, oh man, it just brought me to my knees, and it really did. And it's a real honor to be able to play in a game like this, in a moment where it just, I guess, according to the schedule, worked out to where this is the game that they chose to be the red bandana game. And again, I think it's an inspiration. You talk about a real hero. And for me, it was kind of hit personal too, because I took my family to New York this summer. We got a chance to go to a Yankees game, and I wanted to take my boys over to where the trade centers were in the memorial. And we actually went to the top of I think it's called the Freedom Towers now. We went to the top, to the 100th floor, and and you still could see down and see where the trade centers were. And I mean, it was a powerful, just time for me and my family. Because obviously my kids were younger, and it's something that I wanted them to know about. And you see the memorial and the stories. It's and then you hear about a young man like Wells Crowther. I mean, it's just powerful, and I think it's awesome that BC. He played at BC. He played lacrosse. I believe it was lacrosse at was it lacrosse or field hockey? Lacrosse at BC, and I think that's one of the great attributes that sports instills in young people. Is that team and that take action mindset. You just kind of wired that way, and it's just unbelievable what he did, and to hear the people speak about how he saved their lives, and they didn't even know who he was. He just reacted and took action, and I don't know how many lives that he saved, and he could have left, but he went back. I mean, it really is unbelievable, inspirational story. So we look forward to being a part of that moment as well with all the Boston College folks. We got a lot of respect for BC. I think Steve Addazio is one of the great men of college football, first of all, especially if I've got a chance to get to know him and sit in meetings with him. I don't think there's a more passionate coach. A guy that loves the game more, a guy that loves his players more, and a guy that's about the right things than Coach Addazio. And then just the relationship we have with Boston College. I think there's a great respect from the Clemson side to the BC side, and a game we look forward to every year. And this year is just even more special to be a part of. in honoring this young man here that is a true American hero. And with that, I'll take your questions.
Coach, you won your first game as head coach up at Chestnut Hill on a Halloween weekend. Is playing up there particularly nostalgic for you, and what are some of your recollections about that game?
Yeah, it is. It really is. It's I've got a picture in my house of that first win, and it's pretty special. I'll never forget that group of guys. Sometimes I'll look at that picture, and I'm in the locker room, and all the guys are around me, and I just start looking at those faces. Mike Hamlin, Jock McKissick, Thomas Austin, the Tyler Grisham's, Jacoby Ford, C.J. Spillers, and Ricky Saps, and I'm just looking at them, and I'm like, wow, man, we've come a long way since that very first win. And but those were kind of the forefathers of where we are now as a program. They were the first guys to say, you know what, James Davis, and that got us going. I mean, it really did. And I remember when we went up there, I didn't know till prior to that we'd never won there. And I remember getting a big lead. I think we had a nice lead at halftime, and then it evaporated pretty quick, and they came back. I remember C.J. Spiller taking that kick back. Didn't quite get there. Aaron Kelly, we throw that fade route for him to I guess was the go-ahead score in the fourth quarter there. In fact, Aaron came to the game. Got a chance to see Aaron this weekend. He and his fiance. We were talking about that, but hit Aaron for the go-ahead touchdown, and then the defense has to go out there and stop them. And I remember DeAndre McDaniel. It was just everybody they just wanted to find a way to win, and DeAndre. I mean, we were just living and dying on every play, and right there at the end, I remember him looking over. He was like, it was like a timeout or something. He's like, "Coach, we got this," and they did. We get the stop and win the game. It was a special moment, definitely one I'll never forget. But every time we've been up there, we lost once up there, and that was a close game. That was Ellington got hurt. I'll never forget that on a freak play. And it was kind of the story of our season that year. Just it seemed like every game was a 3-point game. But every time we go up there, it's a battle. I mean, it's not going to be different Friday night.
When you lost, Dodd and Lawson, then you started working Christian at defensive end in the spring. Back then, could you imagine that he would have been as disruptive as he's been as a defensive end?
Not initially when we first, because I hadn't seen him do it. But pretty quickly in the spring practice, there was no doubt. I'm like, this will be just fine right here. He can play in. That was pretty obvious this spring. We had no doubt about it at all, and really felt like because he was disruptive all spring against a pretty good offensive line. So no, we knew this spring, but going into it, I didn't know until I saw it.
When you win a game as big as Saturday's, how do you ensure that the team stays focused on the task at hand and moves on to the next game in a positive way?
I mean, it wasn't any bigger than beating Georgia Tech on Thursday night. It wasn't any bigger than beating Auburn in the opener at Auburn. It wasn't any bigger than beating South Carolina State. They're all big. I always tell that if you don't think it's big, lose it. Then you'll realize how big that game was. They're all big. So we just continue to do what we've done around here for a long time. We come in here on Mondays and it's Mental Monday. We refocus. It's all about what's next and how we get better. We correct mistakes. We challenge. We tell the truth, and say, okay, here's what we did good. Here's what we did bad. Here's what we got to do to get better this week. Here's the next opponent. We're going to get ready for what they do. But listen, it's about our formula for excellence, our standard, having a daily focus. We don't change that. And our guys, they buy into that. I mean, every week is a huge game. I mean, we want to win the division, and Boston College is in the way. They're in the way. It's just that simple. I mean, we don't make the schedules up. We don't worry about the schedule. We just play it. And we also know they all count. So right now we're in a good spot in our division. After 5 games, we've positioned ourselves where we'd like to be at 5-0. But if we want to stay in control of our destiny, and if we want to achieve that next goal, we got to find a way to beat Boston College. Just that simple. And that's where all of our focus is. Last week, ain't going to win this week. Had we lost the game, it'd be the same thing. It's all about this game. We can't live in the past, whether it's good or bad. Fans do that, but for us, it's, mate, we refocus, move on. We get 12 games, and at the end of the year, we just want to do the best we can with those 12 games. We'd love to be 12-0. If we lose one, and then we go, all right, we want to be 11-1. We just want to be the best we can be, and that's the mentality that we have. Put everything you got into it, live with the result. Move on. Let everybody else worry about all the other stuff. Here's what we do. And, right now, again, we still have a chance to win 12. But as y'all hear me say all the time, you can't win 12 till you win 6. And that's our focus.
Coach, what can you tell us about Austin Bryant and Adrian Baker in the last couple of practices? Or are you still evaluating whether they'll be able to play on Friday?
Austin will go with us. He'll make the trip. He looks pretty good. Pretty pleased where he's at. We'll have him with us. Adrian will not make the trip, but I'm really pleased with him. He's actually practicing all week on the scout team. He's taking every rep, because, again, we got to be ready to play, so it's hard to just give guys reps. But we got to get him in that real football mode. So he's doing all the competitive work, that we can get him. But then he's taking every rep on the scout team, on the scout D, so he can just get his confidence, breaking on the balls, the plants and cuts that you make at that position, just the reaction type of stuff, and really get his confidence. So that's what we're going to do with him all week, and then we'll probably travel him with us next week.
You've often talked about the team shouldn't care when you play, what time of day, what day. But what is your opinion on these Friday night games? Because this is certainly out of the ordinary.
Yeah, I don't like it. I want to be watching my son on Fridays. I don't like it. I don't like the fact that it takes away from the high schools on Friday night. I've never liked it. But, I don't control it. And Clemson doesn't. Dan Radakovich doesn't control it. Those are all TV contract stuff, and I understand all that. But so we don't have any control over it. So I don't really fret about it or worry about it. We just do what we do. But I don't like it. It doesn't mean I have to like it.
Coach, you talked about, as you just did, about the every game's the biggest game, the weekly focus. But a lot of great teams, great coaches preach that. Why has it resonated so much here? You guys have had so much success beating, unranked opponents. Because
we walk the walk. We don't just talk it. We walk the walk as coaches. There's no. If y'all were embedded with us, you would see that. Y'all wouldn't ask me that anymore, because you would see that regardless of who we play, this is what we do on Sunday, this is what we do on Monday, and it never changes. And it's relentless every week from a preparation standpoint. And that resonates to the team. It's the same energy, the same intensity with the coaches and getting ready for the opponent, and there's pride in your performance. That's how you have that type of consistency. You got to have good players, first of all, but to get that type of consistency, you got to be locked in each and every week, and you got to take pride in it. I tell them all the time, it's like Michael Jordan. Somebody asked Michael Jordan one time, why he plays so hard every night. I love Michael Jordan. Why he played so hard every night. I got 82 games, you pick a couple. You see plenty of that. You know who some of them guys are. But they'd ask Michael Jordan, why you play so hard? And he'd say, because it might be somebody's only time to see me play in the crowd. And that's a mentality. That's a mentality. That's pride in your performance. And I believe that. Michael Jordan, there didn't have to be nobody in the stands. And you put a ball out there and you put somebody out there to compete against him, he's gonna dominate. He's gonna play hard. And I think that's a mentality that the best of the best have. The most consistent performers have is, you take pride in how you play the game. Shouldn't matter who you play. And Probably the best game we've played this year was South Carolina State. I know we're supposed to beat South Carolina State, but just how we played. And I love that about our team. They weren't worried about who we were playing. They just wanted to play well. And I think that's what it takes. You have to walk the walk in all areas, from your practicing, how you preparation, how you talk to your players. It's always the same. And I had a buddy of mine that sent me a acronym of the word grind, and it's great because it's so true, because we're in the grind, and it is a grind. I mean, you go to bed at 4:30 in the morning on Saturday night, and you're right back over here because it's a Monday. You just lose a day of prep, but you still got the same amount of work to do. And then you got to bring the guys in and practice, which isn't what they normally do. And so there's, you kind of grinding a little bit. But for us, we have a routine that we believe in. And so when Fridays come, when we walk off that field from our game prep, our guys know that we've paid the price. And we don't change anything regardless of who the opponent is. But the acronym was, I think it was great routines initiate and navigate destiny. And, we believe in that here. We believe in just how we get ready. And if you come on our practice fields, it's the same intensity on Tuesday each week from the coaches, regardless of who we play. And I promise you, this is the biggest game of the year. There ain't no doubt about it. This one right here, because this is the one in front of us. This is the only one we can do anything about. We can't do anything about one that we've played, whether we won it or lost it. And we can't do anything about the one that's coming in 2 weeks, or whenever. Who knows? May not even be here. But this is the one thing that we've got to be focused on. And that's a culture that you develop, and then it's the leadership buying into that. And, we've definitely got that here.
Talk about the mentality of the team. As great as the win was this past Saturday, what has been the response for the 5 turnovers that you had? And is it something that you could change anything going into practice this week to re-emphasize how important it is?
No, it's ball. I mean, give them some credit, too. I mean, ball security, we talk about all the time. It's disappointing because, again, we made it a lot harder than it needed to be. We only had 1 drop, so we've got a nice run going. We had 12 drops in the first 2 games, and then we had 2, and now 1. So we're trending in the right direction, but that 1 drop was an interception in the red zone to give them, set them up for points, and then we had 2 turnovers on ourselves in the red zone where we came away with no points. The one throwing to Mike, and then the other one with Leggett on the fumble. But, hey, give their guy player. Their players made a play, and give them credit for that. They did a great job of stripping the ball out. So, all right, well, hey, just remind you guys, hey, we call it 6 points of pressure on the ball at all times. And so you show it on film. Hey, here's where you got loose with the ball. Ball's away from your body. This is why we can't have balls in jeopardy. This is why we have to have the 6 points of pressure the way it's supposed to be. And we just coach it. Okay, D-Dub or Mike, hey, that ball needs – Mike, you can't let that ball get intercepted. You can't let him out-compete you for the ball. D-Dub, you're a little off right there. Ball's got to be in front just a little bit more accurate. So, you just coach it. Deshaun, on the fumble that he had, I mean, he's just fighting for extra yards. It was a great play, a good run, and they did a good job of stripping it out. So, again, just you get in a crowd, and you're fighting for extra yards. Hey, 2 hands on the ball. Let's lock it down. I mean, it's just football. It's the first game I've ever won with 5 turnovers. The other couple games that I've been a part of where we had 5 turnovers, we got our butts handed to us. So it's my first one to be a part of.
I was wondering if you had seen
Against a really good team, too.
the photo of the 16-year-old who got up out of the wheelchair.
Yeah. Oh, man.
Cheered that last play.
Yeah, I had probably 15 people send that to me yesterday via email or text or whatever. And, powerful, just powerful. I mean, that's just – and, again, that's a message to your team as to why it matters how you play. because of the joy that you bring other people. Now, there's a young man, I think his name was Logan. Is that right? Was it Logan? Here's a young man, Logan, that, has got a tough disease that he's battling. Cerebral palsy, I think is what he had. And he can't go play football. But he's doing all he can do. And I just think that that is what it's all about. Taking what you have and doing the very best you can with it. And sometimes I think it's a great reminder for all of us, that we should be so thankful for our health and the opportunities to do the things that we get to do. And for those players to be able to go out there and be able to play a game and to use the talents that they've been blessed with in the right way.
Talk about the fans and the atmosphere Saturday night. Is that the best you've seen?
Man, I've been a part of some great ones, but that was it was incredible. It really was. I mean, from the opening, when we got off the bus for Tiger Walk, it was just incredible. I mean, it really was. I mean, you could just feel the intensity in the crowd. But that's the highest ranked win we've ever had here. I mean, it was a big game, a big doggone game, and you could just the emotion that was in the crowd and the energy was powerful. I don't know that we've ever had back-to-back penalties on the first two plays of the game, and that was a direct result of our crowd. I mean, no question about it. And then in the fourth quarter, especially once we got that, we kind of put them to sleep a little bit with how we played in that third quarter. But that kick return kind of got them back up, and it was on from there. I mean, man, it was special. It was a special environment to be a part of. Just loved every second. And I coming over to the game day. I mean, I got over. I think that show comes on at like 9, and I got over here. They wanted me there at 9:15. I got over there about 9, right at 9. They were just coming on there, maybe a little before, and I mean, the place was packed, and there were people all over the campus. And so when we left game day, me and the trooper were going back. We're heading back to Anderson to the hotel, and we're coming down perimeter, and I said, "Man, pull over here." And we just stopped at a couple of random tailgates. We pulled up on this one group over in the parking lot, and they had a big old orange van. These old boys are sitting out, had their chairs kicked back. I mean, the doors are open. They had a big screen TV. I mean, they're just sitting there. It's like, I don't know, right at 9:45, 10 o'clock in the morning, and trooper car pulls up. Of course, they all, kind of like, what's going on? And they're all drinking beer, and I roll the window down. I'm like, "Hey, boys, we ready to go?" And they looked at me like, "Coach Swinney?" And so I get out of the car, and I said, "Hey, man, I just want to make sure we're ready around here." And I said, "Y'all drinking beer already? Gonna be rocking in the valley tonight." But we had fun with that. So then I went around a couple other tailgates, just kind of popped in on some people, and in the parking lot, took some pictures, and then we headed back out. Now we're going back out down perimeter. Now we've kind of come out a good ways, and I look up on my left, and underneath a tree, I think it was before you get to Cherry Road, but underneath a tree, there's a truck that's pulled on the grass. He's backed all the way up under a tree, and they got it all set up. There's some food cooking. They got all stuff, and it's just a man and a woman, and they're in those two of those zero gravity chairs. You know what I'm talking about? That you just kind of lay back, and they'll lay all the way back, and they're laid back. She's got a pillow, got a cover, and I said, "Hang on, stop here." So I come running up on them, and I'm like, "Can I get y'all anything? Y'all need anything?" Now this is the ultimate setup right here. So I laid in the zero gravity chair and hung out with them for a minute, and then I went on back to the hotel. And I told the team when I got back, as we had our first meeting at breakfast, we had a meeting at 11:15. I said, I told them, I said, "This is unbelievable," and I no telling how early those people were there, setting up and all of that stuff. So it was amazing just to be a part of it, and that's what makes Clemson special, is just the atmosphere. And I don't know how many people were here that weren't in the stadium. There was probably, there might have been 15,000 plus that just were here tailgating, that didn't even come into the game, just out having a big old time. So it's a unique and special place for sure.
Will Trey Lamar and Denzel Johnson be available to play?
Yes.
Has Christian made the case to keep that job when Austin comes back?
Well, we'll see. It depends on Austin. When he gets back, and he was a pretty good player. He kind of earned his spurs, so we'll see. We'll see how it plays out, and might leave him there. It certainly creates a lot more versatility for us, but and we're very pleased with what's happening inside. With the play of those guys, especially with Huggins coming on. He had 2 big sacks the other night. He's finally getting tired of standing on the sideline. He's starting to develop into what he can be, because he's very, very talented. But he's starting to get a little more serious about being a great player, a great technician at that position, and not just being a big athletic guy, but being a technician. So we got some options. We'll see.
Once Austin returns, if you're healthy and effective, both inside and outside, would you prefer to just have? I know you and Brent have talked about the versatility of Christian being able to play both. Would you just like to have him be at one spot, or you just take it?
I just like the fact that we've got that versatility. Just like we have at receiver. We were able to take. Hey, Renfro's out. We were able to take Artavis. You move in and play the 5-man. Ray's playing the 2-man. Let's play. And it's good when you have that type of versatility. You might have a D tackle that rolls an ankle or something, and we need to move him back in there. It just depends. I think Richard Yeargin's getting better. Register's playing well. They're all getting better. It's nice when you got a guy like that you can plug in where you need him. But if he's still the best defensive end, then that's where he'll stay. But that's kind of up to those other guys, and we'll see once Austin is back in the flow of things, how it plays out.
The ball distribution to the wide receiver group was probably the best it's been all season this past game. Can you talk about that, and also the emergence of Deion Kane Saturday, and what brought that on?
Really nothing has changed other than the fact that we're catching the ball a lot better. Again, we wouldn't even be having these discussions that we had the first few weeks if we had caught the ball. We didn't have 8 drops last year until 5 games into the season, and 4 of them were in the Notre Dame game. And now we've had 17 drops, counting the one Saturday, in 5 games. And so, and the 12 of them were in the first 2 games. So that really disrupted the rhythm, and a lot of touchdowns. I mean, I think we've had 6 touchdowns dropped. So those are things that magnify, your issues. But the biggest thing is just, grinding, going back to work, regaining his confidence in practice, making the plays in practice. And he's been kind of trending. He had the one play at Georgia Tech, he should have had there in the end zone on the little comeback in the end zone. We were disappointed in that, but he's just been working hard, and it's just that simple. I mean, it's just a matter of time for him. He's too talented of a player, and so we've worked really, really hard to try to create the confidence in practice, and it's good to see him. And sometimes that's all you need is just that one play, just that one play. And same thing with Travion Thompson. He's kind of gotten his confidence back. He struggled the first game and lost his confidence a little bit. Now you see him make that play the other night. I think it was second. We're fixing to be 3rd and 10. That was as big a play as there was in the game, on that game-winning drive. Diving catch, low ball. Really the same play he didn't make against Auburn. Over on the sideline on a 3rd down, we ended up having to punt. Should have made that play. Bail your quarterback out. The quarterback's scrambling. He's fighting for you. You got to bail your quarterback out right there and make a play. And now he's kind of hitting his stride. And so sometimes it just takes making a play here or there. And I think that's kind of the case with Deion. He's just made a couple plays, and next thing you know, your confidence is back where it needs to be. And you start playing fast again, and he's a weapon. He's a great player, and he's a guy we're going to need to make those type of plays the rest of the year. All those guys, as we get in the flow of the offense and they're playing with the type of rhythm that we like to play with, they're all going to touch the ball. Same thing with Leggett. Y'all were asking me what happened to Leggett. Well, the first couple of games, we targeted him. Just didn't work out that way. And when you play without the ball, there's a lot that has to go right for you to get the ball. The protection, the right read, the right coverage, the right type of throw. There's a lot. So when you do get that opportunity, man, you got to take pride and you got to finish those plays. Leggett missed on a couple. We missed him on a couple. The protection wasn't right, whatever. But same thing. He's too good a player. Sooner or later, he's going to get in the flow and the rhythm of things. And I didn't mention it the other night, but he that touchdown, that game-winning touchdown, was not only the game-winning touchdown, it was the record setter for tight ends here. He's now the all-time touchdown leader for tight ends at Clemson, and really proud of Jordan.
What is it about Boston College's program that over the last 7, 8, 9 years has allowed them to give teams like Clemson and Florida State just absolute fits, despite sometimes their record not being all that great? They just seem to have that characteristic that just sort of gives people trouble.
Did they beat Southern Cal weren't they number one? Or somewhere high, top 10? Okay, yeah. They're well coached and they're fundamentally sound. Just that simple. I mean, they're going to be where they're supposed to be. You have to beat them. They're not going to beat themselves. That's something that's not a characteristic that you'll see very often from a Boston College team. They're going to be very disciplined. They're going to always play with great effort and toughness, and those are attributes that if you got on a football team and you know what you're doing, you always got a chance. And that's what you get with BC. I mean, just a tough, hard-nosed, blue-collar bunch that, again, is going to do their job. They take pride in their job. They know what they're doing. And, if that backer's supposed to be here in the curl flat, he's going to be there. He's going to be there. They just – you have to out-execute them. And you got to be able to match up, physically. And sometimes there's teams that don't do that. And they'll make you pay.
I get asked 10 times a week that Clemson celebrated locker room videos last year. Everybody got used to seeing the dancing. I assume you're still celebrating, but was that a conscious decision maybe to make a move away from showing some of that post-game stuff?
Oh, yeah, they got plenty of that video. Our people got it in there, but, yeah, we have all kind of fun. We've been dancing every week. We have a blast. We hadn't released any of that stuff.
Going back to defensive linemen and how well Dexter Lawrence is playing as a true freshman, what is he giving you on defensive line? Where do you see him in the future? Just elaborate on how good he's been and what
he gives us enormous size and athleticism. He's just a massive human being, and he can move and bend, and he's just it's just mind-boggling. He's a true freshman, so it gives us a very bright future at that position. Having a young guy like that, he's as good as I've ever been around at that position.
How pleased are you with where Cleveland Farrell's at in his development?
Really pleased. Great competitor. It's just like the other night. I mean, I think that last drive, or I think when we got I think it was the 3 and out. Here's this freshman, and he's out there, and I mean, he was just in everybody's face. I mean, he was just like, we got to get a stop. And I love seeing that emotion because he's a really quiet guy off the field. He just kind of, doesn't say a whole lot. And it was just awesome seeing that energy and emotion from him. But he plays loud. He's a very smart player. And same thing, he's got a very bright future, incredibly bright. Marion's done a great job with him, but he's because he's just going to get better, more confident, more knowledgeable, and the game's going to slow down for him, and that bodes well for us at that position.
Coach, your defense played like 99 snaps on Saturday. Has to be a record for the team. Talk about the strength and conditioning program and how that team, the defensive side of the ball, is able to stay in there that long and play all those snaps.
Well, I mean, that's how we're built. It's through what Joey Batson and those guys do down there in that weight room. There's no question about it. I told them that before the game. I said, hey, we're Clemson tough, man. You know, we're built right there in that weight room. We're built out here running up these hills, out on that practice field. You win when the stands are empty. That's when this team is built. Not you don't just show up and say, all right, everybody fired up, let's go play. No. That game's won long before game day. And Coach B and the staff, I mean, they just Greenlee and Smo and Hogan, Paul Harrington, those guys do a great job. Nobody's better. I mean, our players love them, and that's one thing I can say. You know, we've lost some games over the years, but we've won a bunch of them too, and you know, against some really good people, and nobody has pushed us around. And I think that's a mentality that's developed in your off season, and you know, how you practice. So we practice tough, we play tough, but you know, our strength staff and nutrition staff and all of them do a phenomenal job. We had 105 gradable plays on defense. You know, some of those plays don't count to the public, but they count to us. We played the down. Even though there was a penalty, we still played the down. Somebody's getting hit. So I've never been a part of that. And they played with all they had all the way to the end, all the way to the 99th play. And that's what it came down to, and we made the play.
Anybody got anything else? Thank you.
All right, guys. See you in Boston.